Hi, this is Chuck Colson with this week's 2-minute warning, broadcast, as a matter of fact, from very chilly Washington, D.C. Even before the delegates arrived in Copenhagen for this month's climate change conference, expectations are low, getting even lower. Instead of a sweeping treaty now, there's talk of a handshake agreement, and even that might not occur until next year. One can only hope. I know that saying that will make me seem like an insensitive brute who wants cute, not-so-little animals like the polar bear to suffer. That's not true. William Wilberforce, my hero, started the Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals in England because it's a Christian duty, and Christians are the best of stewards of the environment. But what's going on in Copenhagen has very little to do with animal welfare and not much to do with climate change either. Here are 3 things that you're unlikely to hear in the run-up to the Copenhagen conference. 1, the hottest decade of the 20th century was not the 1990s, it was the 1930s, before the rise in CO2 emissions that are supposed to be warming the Earth. 2, 1,000 years ago in the medieval warm period, the Earth was significantly warmer than today. Greenland was literally green, and wine grapes grew in Britain. 3, even if the United States agreed to the kind of cuts being urged upon us, it wouldn't make a difference because the largest emitter of CO2 is China, and it has no intention of cutting its emissions, since, as the Chinese officials told President Obama last month, the regime's survival depends on continued economic growth. So, if this isn't about actual warming, what's it about? In a word, control. It's about leverage to create the technocrats' vision of a better world, their idea of utopia. In fact, there's a proposal in Britain right now that would limit the amount of CO2 emissions every Briton would be allowed to produce individually. Since almost everything associated with modern life can be said to create carbon emissions, this would give planners absolute control over the way people live their lives, the kind of control that hasn't been seen since the fall of communism. Only this time, it would be exercised in the name of polar bears and penguins, not the proletariat. For Chuck Colson, that's this week's 2-minute warning. Tune in next week.